Okay, in this video we're going to give you a quick run through of my entire solar setup, and in the description below I've left a list of all the components that were purchased for my setup, and there's an actual cost down there. So without further ado, here's Billy Tatum.
So Wes already wired up the solar panels on the roof, dropped them down, sealed them up, and then we just took over from there. And the first thing we did is we actually had Megan and Carr do this part, but we went straight into our combiner box where each panel has its own breaker. So this is the incoming 4 solar panels into the breaker, comes up through the common bar and goes back out. And by the way, this is 8 gauge, this is 4 gauge, so about 100 amp worth, comes back out, whereas the negatives also come back out through these two into the Midnight 150 Classic. Right now you probably see it. It has 35 volts coming in. It's only pumping about 70 watts. We're sitting in the shade. Yeah. Batteries are at 26.8, so 13.4. It's a perfect float right now. Out of the charger goes through a 100 amp breaker, and then back around to the battery bank. And then coming back from the battery bank, we have a 24 volt to 12 volt converter rated for 60 amps. So coming out of this goes to a 12 volt fuse block, and also coming off of it is the power for Wes's cool 24 volt refrigerator. Up over here, if you want to show them, if you can see it, is the transfer switch. So right here, right now, it's on shore power because we are plugged in at the moment, but you can flip that and everything runs off the inverter instead.
Very cool. You marked those for me.
Yeah, when
awesome.
I marked them with a Sharpie for you.
Awesome.
And then down here below, down here is the 240 volt split phase, which means it sends 120 volts to each side of your panel, just like a 50 amp setup. And it's a 6,000 watt inverter, so you get 3,000 watts on each side of your inverter. This is also a charger, so whenever it's getting power, it charges. And right now it's on AC mode and it's float charging. So you have the inverter charging the batteries, you have solar being able to charge batteries, but also this breaker over here is coming from the alternator. So we have a 140 amp alternator that Wes installed, rated for 24 volts. It passes through this 160 amp breaker to the battery bank as well. So we can show everybody that stuff. So battery bank, I guess you guys probably already saw here, has 8 of these 155 amp hour AGM batteries. This is the inverter, 4-aught gauge lug, powering the 6,000 watt inverter. Coming out of the inverter and also coming from shore power, this is the back side of the transfer switch right here. And out of the transfer switch, it goes to the breaker box. So 100 amp panel. Right now he has only 4 circuits wired up. The 2 legs coming in, so each one of these are getting 120 volts separately from the inverter or from shore power. Like I said, it's just like a 50 amp setup, and then from there all your legs run out. So this is your 24 volt converter power, this is your solar charging, this wire is your alternator charging. The alternator is not grounded negative, so you have 2 posts on the back, which is good. So we're able to run both positive and negative from the alternator. So inverter, converter, solar, alternator. So you have 3 ways to charge these batteries. You can run the engine, you can hook on to shore power, or you can let the solar handle it, or you can do all the above. So, oh, you might want to show them your controller for your this is the inverter control panel. It'll show you incoming volts 253, output 249, and then if we were to switch to inverter power, it would change over and show you what your load is, how much you're pulling, and what the voltages are. So that's the main setup. Everything else was just a bunch of outlets that Megan wired up.
Right.
Gave Megan credit for the solar combiner.
Here's Megan, everybody. Give you a big hug.
I'm just glad I got to come. Thank you for letting me do that.
This is so awesome.
I enjoyed it. I had fun.
Okay, one more thing. I've also got t-shirts available. These are the Transcend Existence t-shirts, and they're available through a website called Threadless. It's a place for artists to promote their work. And anyway, you can pick and choose different colors, different style shirts, different weights of shirts. It's a pretty cool deal. So I'll leave the link below in the description. And also, if you'd like to help support the channel and help support my project, I've also got stickers. I'll put a link in the description below for those also. But I'm doing one for $3 and two for $5, and that will include any postage within the continental US.